Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we have the pleasure of continuing our conversation with Art Sobzack, who is the author of a wonderful book called Smart Calling. Welcome, Art.
Thank you, Gerhard. Pleasure.
Can we talk a little bit about overcoming the fear and the potential for rejection that's involved in reaching out to a customer by phone?
Certainly. Rejection is something that we all have heard about from the moment that we even think about getting into sales. And you and I both have been doing this a long time, and I realized pretty early that I didn't believe a lot of the things that I actually heard repeated over and over about sales. So there are some myths of sales that I cover in the book, and several of them relate to rejections. Let me go through those with you. The first one is, for every no you get, you're that much closer to a yes. We've heard that repeated over and over.
Right.
But if you think about it, that's not true at all. What a bunch of garbage that is. I was golfing with a guy the other day. I was paired up with him, and he was absolutely horrible. And he said to me, boy, if I just play more, I'd get better. And I looked at him and I felt like saying, no, you wouldn't, because really you're pretty bad. You'll just continue to get worse if you're not doing the right things. So if we're not doing the right things to get the result that we're really looking for, we're no closer to a yes on that next call.
Right, and this guy needs a coach.
Yeah, well, he does. He needs to figure out what's the smart way to do this. The other thing that we've heard over and over is, boy, you really need to love rejection, or you
seek it out.
Yeah. Well, again, early on, I looked at it and I thought, wait a minute, if I love something, I want more of it.
Right.
I don't want more rejection. I want to figure out how can I avoid it.
Right.
And then if you break it down, I'm no psychologist here, but if you break it down, what do people call rejection in sales? When I do seminars, I always ask that question. How many of you have been rejected here before? And people raise their hand. I said, well, how do you know? And they'll say, well, I didn't get the sale. I heard that we're happy with who we're using right now. Don't call me again. Some even say it's the tone of the other person, the dial tone that they hear. The tone. They're hanging up on them. Right. And then I ask them, I say, okay, those are things that happen to you. Mm-hmm. Is rejection what happens to you, or the way you define what happens to you?
Interesting.
And it's always the definition. It's a thing that happens. Let's take another profession. Let's say I'm a scientist and I try one experiment. It doesn't work. Was that person rejected? I'm an accountant. My numbers don't match up. Was I rejected?
Right.
I'm a baseball player. I swing and I miss. Was I rejected? No. But in sales, if we don't get a yes, we're rejected. So my suggestion is, let's change the way we look at what happens to us. Because everybody watching this, I would assume, is in sales or looking to get in sales. Right. And we've all picked a profession where every day, proactively, we're going out and playing in heavy traffic. And we're going to get nicked every once in a while. And if we're not getting nicked, that means we're not playing. We need to be playing the game. Right. But that's just part of the game.
So what does smart selling do to bypass that?
Well, part of the title of the book, and that's why I'm sure some people buy it, is that it says eliminate the fear, fail, and rejection from cold calling.
Right.
So here's what I suggest you do. In addition to changing your definition of what rejection is, let's be proactive in accomplishing something on every call. So I suggest getting a win on every call. Every salesperson should have a primary objective for their call, which I define as, what do you want them to do, the prospect to do? And I suggest thinking big, go as far as you possibly can. But I also suggest a secondary objective, and here's where we're going to avoid the rejection. For example, let's take two salespeople. Both had exactly the same thing happen on a call. They both got a no. One, at the end of the call, says, oh man, I got a no, I felt rejected, geez, I'm going to go do email or something. The other person says, well, you know, I got a no, but at least I found out when their contract is going to expire with their existing supplier, and I agreed that, or they agreed that I can put them on my email list. So overall, that was a pretty good call. So that was an example of accomplishing something. Now, this does not have to be earth-shattering stuff. It could be as minor as simply asking a particular question. It could be simply leaving them with a good feeling about your company. Because at the end of the day, one person is going to say, oh boy, I got rejected 30 times. The other person is going to say, I accomplished my primary 3 or 4 times, but I accomplished my secondary the rest of the time. And I really believe that in our game here, about 80% of what we accomplish is due to how we feel when we're doing it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Art. We're going to continue our conversation tomorrow where we talk about how to avoid the dumb mistakes a lot of salespeople are making.